they pick up Lord Chaitanya on their shoulders? Do they pick up Lord Chaitanya on their shoulders? For some reason, I got it in my head that they do that, but now I'm just questioning, did I make that up?
Okay, let's see. All right, so Dini, would you like to lead us here?
Yes, I'll jump in. Hladini was supposed to lead. I don't know where she is.
Okay,
You was supposed to do the introduction. So I had a little doubt whether others have gone to her Zoom account.
Oh, I see.
So I will just quickly check.
Okay.
What she wrote on Facebook.
Okay, sure. I'll check my email, see if there's anything there.
No, I don't see anything. Okay. No. Okay, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So I'll start.
Sure.
Let's start with the invocation.
Yeah.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajarini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarini. So Hladini is here. Hare Krishna. Hladini, are you ready to set the scene?
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry I didn't expect everyone to be here so early. And also I just finished my lunch. So yes, so I think you should just give me a second because I think Dr. Irka is coming up to join me. And I will just instruct him a little. No, okay, that's okay, no problem. So setting up the scene. So we are going to read about cleaning the Gundicha temple, which my understanding the festival is today. I need to close my doors. Everyone is walking here and there. Okay, so it's like an annual festival, and it starts with Lord Jagannath having his birthday. So Lord Jagannath is celebrating his birthday, and on his birthday, it's Snana Yatra. He's getting his bath, he's getting bathed. And then what happens is that Lord Jagannath gets fever because after he's all wet and then there is a wind blowing from the window and he gets sick. So Lord Jagannath is retiring from the temple. Lord Jagannath is retiring from the temple. So he's not disturbed by anyone when he's sick. So the devotees cannot see Lord Jagannath. Only the pujari of Lord Jagannath and the doctor. I don't know if there is a doctor. And then of course there is like still cooking for Lord Jagannath. All that, but the devotees are not seeing Lord Jagannath at that time when he's having the fever. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees who are accustomed to see Lord Jagannath every day are very disturbed. It's really painful for them, this like angst of separation from Lord Jagannath, and then it ends like Lord Jagannath appears healthy and alive after that on the festival of Ratha Yatra. And then in the meantime, what Lord Chaitanya is going to do, he doesn't want to be in Jagannath Puri when Lord Jagannath is not visible in the temple, and so he goes to the Gundicha temple and cleans the Gundicha temple. So, and he takes his devotees with himself, and they prepare everything for Lord Jagannath's arrival. And then there is something that I don't remember, and I didn't really make the research for today, that like the Gundicha temple like represents Vrindavan. Gundicha temple represents Vrindavan. Yes. Okay. And then the Ratha Yatra festival is like Radharani getting Lord Krishna from Dwarka back to Vrindavan. That's like the festival. So they are preparing everything in Vrindavan, clothes for Lord Jagannath to arrive, and everything is clean. So I don't really understand why the Ratha Yatra festival is like at so many different dates all over the world, because my narrow-minded understanding would be that it's like everywhere in the world the same days, the Snana Yatra, and then Lord Jagannath being sick, and then Gundicha temple cleaning, and then Ratha Yatra.
Oh, it's just a matter of practicality and convenience. That like, yeah, I mean, like each day each year according to lunar calendar, the Ratha Yatra in Jagannath Puri, like the original Ratha Yatra, that's at a particular day. And in one sense, Srila Prabhupada didn't even emphasize that on the calendar, of these dates, Ratha Yatra in Jagannath Puri, and the dates surrounding it, like Gundicha Marjanam. It's very nice. Like Prabhupada gave us about 18, 19 Vaishnav holidays particularly. And he said, if you want to do more, I mean, that's wonderful. Like that. So, but then like, okay, then Srila Prabhupada, he brought Ratha Yatra around the world. He brought Ratha Yatra around the world. And so the idea is like, well, every day is a wonderful day for Lord Jagannath, Lady Subhadra, and Lord Baladev to go through the cities of the world. So just for practicality, like for example, here in the United States, and like New York will have it in one weekend in June, and Los Angeles generally has it the first weekend in August, and one in Philadelphia, and then London, and of course in the Southern Hemisphere they do it like, I guess, in the January and their summer months. So that's just a matter of practicality to have as many people as possible participate in the Ratha Yatra, and that's all transcendental.
And so you can go from one Ratha Yatra to the next all year long. So we have Ratha Yatra on Sunday in Prague. It will be first one after the coronavirus time. So everyone is really excited about it. And what I wanted to say, well, when I speak about Ratha Yatra, so Srila Prabhupada, like my understanding is that's like he's found of that festival. Like when he was a small boy, he would have his own little Ratha Yatra festival. I think his dad or his uncle, I'm not sure, made him a card for Lord Jagannath, and then Srila Prabhupada would invite all his friends, all his little friends, and they would go through the streets, and then the adults would like want to join. And then, yeah, anyway, so it's like a found like Srila Prabhupada childhood pastime festival. And then if you want Lord Jagannath to arrive at your home, it's a good thing. And also it's and we will read about it soon, because the scene is, I think, almost already set. And it's like there is like the metaphor, but also it's like a truth that when we clean the temple, we are also at the same time cleaning our heart. So I have experienced a few times at Mother Ratneshwari in Alachua that I would be dusting her altar, And her altar is like kind of big and very sophisticated with a lot of like curves and like flowers and things. So it takes a good 3 hours to dust the altar. By the way, I never seen a piece of dust on her altar when she has me to dust the altar. So that also gives me a perspective, like, it's not like I clean when there is a lot of dirt, and then there is like a huge difference before and after cleaning. And today we are all going to share pictures, like, look, like before and after, so much like work we did. Wherein, like, from Mother Ratneshwari, I get the perspective, we clean, so it stays clean. Not like we clean, so we clean the heart so it stays clean, and not that like we allow, like, we already did it, we already allowed like tons and millions of dirt fall on. And don't worry, in the Gundicha temple there will be a lot of dirt, so we don't have to feel too bad about our temples. And yes, so we are going to read. I was thinking to share the screen because I am not sure if everyone has a Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the plan is to take turns. So if you could enable me to do that, Jira Govinda Prabhu, please. And then Prabhupada. Can I do it now?
I think it should work now.
Okay, share screen. Share. And so we are going to read from Madhya Lila, chapter 12, the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. And we are going to start with the verse 71. All right. So I will read a little bit, and then everyone who is here can take turns reading. And whenever you want to pause and share a comment or inspiration or question, then let's just like a pause, like we will do more like this free format. It's not going to be like a reading class and discussion, but it will be like taking turns, reading, and then anyone who is inspired to like, hey, stop here, I want to like ask a question or share inspiration, please do that. And because I mostly just see the shared screen, if you want to share, then just say it loud. I will probably not see raised hands. So you can just say loud when I'm asked. Okay. Arangedina katagela, Jagana terarata yatra nikata hoila. In this way, the Lord passed some days in great jubilation. Then the car festival of Lord Jagannath approached. Prathameyi Kashimishre Prabhu Bolaila, Padicha Patra Sarvabome Bola Anila. I don't know what's the question mark sign. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first of all called for Kashi Mishra, then for the superintendent of the temple, then for Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When these 3 people came before the Lord, he begged them for permission to wash the temple known as Gundicha. Purport. The Gundicha temple is situated 2 miles northeast of the Jagannath temple. At the time of the Ratha Yatra festival, Lord Jagannath goes to the Gundicha temple from his original temple and stays there for 1 week. After 1 week, he returns to his original temple. It is understood by hearsay that the wife of Indradyumna, the king who established the Jagannath temple, was known as Gundicha. There is also mention of the name of the Gundicha temple in authoritative scripture. The area of the Gundicha temple is estimated to be 288 cubits by 215 cubits. The main temple inside is about 36 cubits by 30 cubits, and the Kirtana hall is 32 cubits by 30 cubits. Are we recording? Okay. Text 74. Padicha kahe ami saba sevaka tomara, ye tomara icha se kartavya amara. Upon hearing the Lord's request from them to wash the Gundicha temple, the Padicha, the superintendent of the temple, said, "My dear sir, we are all your servants. Whatever you desire is our duty to perform. The king gave a special order for me to do without delay whatever your lordship orders. My dear Lord, washing the temple is not service befitting you. Nonetheless, if you wish to do so, it is to be accepted as one of your pastimes. To wash the temple, you need many water pots and brooms. There need all these things to you." As soon as the superintendent understood the desire of the Lord, he immediately delivered 100 new water pots and 100 brooms for sweeping the temple. Aradine prabhate lana nijagana shrihaste sabara angele pila chandana. The next day, early in the morning, the Lord took his personal associate with him and with his own hand smeared sandalwood pulp on their bodies. He then gave each devotee a broom with his own hand, and taking all of them personally with him, the Lord went to Gundicha. In this way, the Lord and his associates went to cleanse the Gundicha temple with the brooms. The Lord cleansed everything inside the temple very nicely, including the ceiling. He then took up the sitting place, Simhasana, cleansed it, and again put it in its original place. Chotabada Mandira Koila Marjana Sodhana Pachetaiche Shodila Shri Jagamohana. Thus the Lord and his companions cleansed and swept all the temple's buildings, big and small, and finally cleansed the area between the temple and the Kirtan hall. Indeed, hundreds of devotees were engaged in cleansing all around the temple, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally carrying out the operation just to instruct others. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleansed the temple in great jubilation, chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna all the time. Similarly, all the devotees were also chanting and at the same time performing their respective duties. The entire beautiful body of the Lord was covered with dust and dirt. In this way, it became transcendently beautiful. At times, when cleansing the temple, the Lord shed tears, and in some places, he even cleansed with those tears. It's quite a verse. Like, imagine that the dust from the temple, it might be no different from the Lord also. Just thinking, just a thought that came to me, and then Lord Chaitanya like being like sweat and covered with the dust and becoming even more beautiful and cleaning with the tears. It's just like, what a scene. So, Raghavinda Prabhu, would you like to continue reading?
Okay, all right. So we're on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 12, entitled The Cleansing of the Gundicha Temple. We're in text 87. Text 87. Oga Mandira Shodana Kari Sodhila Prangana Sakala Avasa Krame Karila Shodana. After this, the place where the deity's food was kept, Bhoga Mandir, was cleansed. Then the yard was cleansed, and then all the residential quarters, one after the other. Shrina Duli Jinkura Saba Ekatra Kariya Bahirase Lana Pelaya Bahira Kariya. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu collected all the straw, dust, and grains of sand in one place, he gathered it all in his cloth and threw it outside. E mata bhakta gana karini jabase trina duli bahire pelaya paramaharishe. Following the example of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees in great jubilation began to gather straws and dust with their own cloths and throw them outside the temple. The Lord then told the devotees, I can tell how much you have labored and how well you have cleansed the temple simply by seeing all the straw and dust you have collected outside. Even though all the devotees collected dirt in one pile, the dirt collected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was much greater. After the inside of the temple was cleansed, the Lord again allotted areas for the devotees to cleanse. Sukshma Duli Trina Kankar Sabakara Hadura Balamate Shodhana Karaha Prabhura Antapura. The Lord then ordered everyone to cleanse the inside of the temple very perfectly by taking finer dust, straws, and grains of sand and throwing them outside. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas cleansed the temple for the second time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see the cleansing work. While the temple was being swept, about 100 men stood ready with filled water pots, and they simply awaited the Lord's order to throw them. Jala anambali yabe Mahaprabhu kahila tabe shatagata ani Prabhu agedila. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called for water, all the men immediately brought the 100 water pots, which were completely filled, and delivered them before the Lord. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first washed the main temple and then thoroughly washed the ceiling, the walls, the floor, the sitting place, Simhasan, and everything else within the room. Kapara Variya Jala Urdve Chalaila Se Jale Urdva Shodhi Biti Prakshalila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself and his devotees began to throw water onto the ceiling. When this water fell, it washed the walls and floor. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to wash the sitting place of Lord Jagannath with his own hands, and all the devotees began to bring water to the Lord. Bhakta Gana Kare Griha Madhya Prakshalana Nija Nija Haste Kare Mandira Marjana. All the devotees within the temple began to wash. Each one had a broom in his hand, and in this way they cleansed the temple of the Lord. Kehajala Anideya Mahaprabhu Kare Kehajala Deya Tanra Charana Upare. Someone brought water to pour into the hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and someone poured water on his lotus feet. Keha Lukana Kare Se Jala Pana Keha Magilaya Keha Anye Kare Dana. The water that fell from the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was drunk by someone who hid himself. Someone else begged for that water, and another person was giving that water in charity. After the room was washed, the water was let out through an outlet, and it then flowed and filled the yard outside. The Lord mopped the rooms with his own clothes, and he polished the throne with them also. Satagata jale hoila mandira marjana mandira shodhiya koila yena nijamana. In this way, all the rooms were cleansed with 100 water pots. After the rooms had been cleansed, the minds of the devotees were as clean as the rooms. Nirmala shitala snigda karila mandire apanaridaya yena darila bahire. When the temple was cleansed, it was purified, cool and pleasing, just as if the Lord's own pure mind had appeared. Since hundreds of men were engaged in bringing water from the lake, there was no place to stand on the banks. Consequently, someone began to draw water from a well. Purna kumbha lana aise shatabhakta gana shunyagata lana yaya arashata jana. Hundreds of devotees brought water in the pots, and hundreds took the empty pots away to fill them up again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Govinda Prabhu. Any comments before we go on? I think it's really quite fascinating, this like last verse that like, well, not the last one, but like they couldn't even stand like by the river. There is no spot where to stand by the river because like the whole how is it called? The bench
The,
of
the,
the
the
river?
banks, the banks of the river were filled.
Banks of the river. The banks of the river was just like one devotee next to another, getting water for Lord Chaitanya to clean the temple.
Yeah, and I was just moved reading because, like, okay, so this is a very real pastime, and it's also metaphorical, and the metaphor just comes through so powerfully, like in this verse 105. In this way, all the rooms were cleansed with 100 water pots. After the rooms had been cleansed, the minds of the devotees were as clean as the rooms. Just very bright and pure, powerful in its purity there.
Yes, yes, and I think we all have the experience, like when there's something in the house is cluttered, then it adds to the clutter of the mind. Or like the seminar I like when we like prepare the seminar room, and I experience so many times, like we come to a place and it looks so like, wow, like we cannot have a seminar here. It's just like so like disorganized and dirty, and then like with like a little bit of work, it's not just it's clean, but the energy completely changes.
Yeah.
If the sattvic energy is just like a completely different platform to start with. Yes, so they were experiencing that effect of not only sattva, but transcendence, cleaning with Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nandini?
I like the verse after the one, Dear Govinda, that you mentioned. When the temple was cleansed, it was purified, cool and pleasing, just as if the Lord's own pure mind had appeared. And I very rarely visit the temple. And recently we went to Zurich to the temple. And it's just this, like this atmosphere when I went into the temple. And I have that also in some churches, some like places of worship where it's very clean and there's a very clean atmosphere. And I notice how my mind immediately cools down. And so to hear like, so that's like just as if the Lord's own pure mind had appeared, it just made me think, also the Lord, his mind is very pure and very clean, and he has a mind. Pure and clean, and it just sounds very, very attractive to me.
Yes, thanks for sharing. It's hard to conceive a pure and clean mind.
Yes. And when I think of a temple which is very clean, and like the energy of that, maybe that's some taste of what it could be inside my mind.
Yes, a glimpse. Yes, like in the temple or in the seminar room, when like everything is organized in a little OCD way, but then it really creates a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bhakta Devon, would you like to continue reading? I'm not sure if you are in the position of reading, but
I could read a little bit.
okay, Jay.
109.
Yeah.
Nityananda Advaita Swarupa Bharita Puri Inha Vinu Ara Sabha Ane Jalabari. With the exception of Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya Swarup Damodar, Brahmananda Bharati, and Paramananda Puri, everyone was engaged in filling the water pots and bringing them there. Nate teki kata nata bangi. Move this video over. Bangi gela sata gata lokata han la ila. Many of the water pots were broken when people collided with one another. Oh, wow. And hundreds of men had to bring new water pots to fill. Jalabare, Naradoya, Karehari, Devani, Krishna Hari, Devani, Vina Ara Nahi Suni. Some people were filling the pots, and others were washing the rooms, but everyone was engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and Hari. One person begged for a water pot by chanting the holy names, Krishna, Krishna, and another delivered a pot while chanting, Krishna, Krishna. Whenever anyone had to speak, he did so by uttering the holy name of Krishna. Consequently, the holy name of Krishna became an indication for everyone who wanted something.
Hare Krishna. I just want, yeah,
That's
go ahead.
nice.
You want to say something?
I'm enjoying.
Yeah, I want to pause here a little because that's really fun. And
Yeah.
and also Yogeshwara, when we lived together, Devan Yogeshwara and I, and then we were like kind of learning, Yogeshwara and I, about Krishna consciousness. And then Yogeshwara was like making like fun of it. Like if you want to say like anything to the devotees, you just say Hare Krishna. Like you want to say like hello, you say Hare Krishna. If you want to say goodbye, you say Hare Krishna. If you want to say thank you, you say Hare Krishna. If you want to say, oh, I am sorry, Hare Krishna. Or like, could you please give me Hare Krishna? So Yogeshwara was making fun of it, but he already had realization of the Gundicha Marjanam cleaning the temple. And then they were chanting, like they were constantly chanting, like the verse before was they were constantly chanting, and then when somebody wanted something, they were chanting. So go figure out how they recognize was like that is also there is no need for any other sound vibration.
Yes. Also swearing. Instead of swearing, we just can say, oh, Krishna.
Right. I actually trained myself to do that. Like I was swearing a lot and I trained myself, okay, if I want to like swear, I say Krishna. But then but it has a limit. Like when Anandini was visiting, I fell down from the stairs and then I forgot to say Krishna. It was too big. Yes, swearing. Hare Krishna.
I don't know if that's using the Lord's name in vain or not, but
we don't have such a commandment in our tradition. So right?
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm just putting that out there.
Any ideas about using the Lord's name in the van? Like in the Bible, it's like one of the offense, or
I think it's not good. But I think if I'm saying Krishna Chaitanya when I'm frustrated, it's like difference. There's an energetic difference between saying the Lord's name in vain offensively and using it as like a replacement for like some expression. It's like situational.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's an important distinction. Like one thing, yeah, like if we say it, and it's like taking shelter, then it's transcendentally positive, and that's different than actually like cursing in the Lord's name. But it's like okay, we can notice the impulse to curse, and instead, in this difficult time, let me take shelter in the name of Krishna, like that.
well, in Czech, it's like a common curse to say Christ, like Kriste. So, right? So I said it so many times, and I think it had an effect, maybe.
Yeah, even if the consciousness is a transgression of the proper mood, and then it's still purifying. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Someone else wants to read, or should I continue?
It's up to you. If you want to continue, you can continue, and if you want to give it to someone else, you can give it to someone else.
I'm not sure how long it goes, but I can read a few more.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Okay. Prema Vese Prabhu Kahe Krishna Krishna Nama Ekala Prema Vese Kare Sata Janera Kama. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was vibrating the holy name of Krishna in ecstatic love, he himself was performing the work of hundreds of men. It appeared as though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were cleansing and washing. It appeared as though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were cleansing and washing with 100 hands. He approached every devotee just to teach him how to work. When he saw someone doing nicely, the Lord praised him. But if he saw that someone was not working to his satisfaction, he immediately chastised that person, not bearing him any grudge. Distinctions. Yeah. The Lord would say, "You have done well. Please teach this to others so that they may act in the same way." As soon as they heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say this, everyone became ashamed. Thus the devotees began to work with great attention. They washed the Jagamohan area and then the place where food was kept. All other places were also washed. In this way, the meeting place was washed, the entire yard, the raised sitting places, the kitchen, and every room. Thus, all places around the temple were thoroughly washed within and without. After everything was thoroughly washed, a Vaishnav from Bengal, who was very intelligent and simple, came and poured water on the lotus feet of the Lord. The Gadya Vaishnav then took that water and drank it himself. Seeing that, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt a little unhappy and was also outwardly angry. Although the Lord was certainly satisfied within him, he became angry externally in order to establish the etiquette of religious principles. The Lord then called for Swarup Damodar and told him, "Just see the behavior of your Bengali Vaishnav. This person from Bengal has washed my feet within the temple of the personality of Godhead. Not only that, but he has drunk the water himself. I now do not know what my destination is because of this offense. Indeed, your Bengali Vaishnav has greatly implicated me." Yes. I should read? I can read, or?
It's up to you, Dear Bhaktadevan.
Okay. I can't tell how long this purport is. I see one paragraph. I'll read that paragraph. It is significant that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us, Swarup Damodar Goswami told that Sri Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar Goswami that the Bengali Vaishnav was your Gadya Vaishnav. This means that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are followers of the Chaitanya cult are subordinate to Swarup Damodar Goswami. The Parampara system is very strictly observed by Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal secretary was Swarup Damodar Goswami. The next group of devotees was the 6 Goswamis, then Kaviraj Goswami. It is necessary to observe the Parampara system of the Chaitanya cult. There are many offenses one can commit while serving the Lord, and these are described in the Bhakti Ras Amrita Sindhu, Hari Bhakta Vilas, and other books. According to the rules and regulations, no one should accept obeisances in the temple of the Lord before the deity, nor is it proper for a devotee to offer obeisances and touch the feet of the spiritual master before the deity. This is considered an offense. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was the personality, himself was personally the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, it was not actually offensive to wash his lotus feet in the temple. However, because he was playing the part of an acharya, the Lord considered himself an ordinary human being. He also wanted to give instructions to ordinary human beings. The point is that even though one plays the part of a spiritual master, he should not accept obeisances or permit a disciple to wash his feet before the deity. This is a matter of etiquette. Okay. I have some question there with Srila Prabhupada's murti in temples when it's like paying obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and then the deities are there as well. I mean, is it like a higher standard? I'm curious to pay obeisances to Srila Prabhupada only when like the temple curtains are closed to the deities, or when the temple curtains are open still can pay obeisances to Prabhupada? I was like, that's what happened for me. It's like, oh no, I've been doing something wrong probably. Many things, lots of things wrong for sure. But like, what do I do now considering this? Yes.
Anyone wants to respond to Bhaktadevan's question?
I don't have a response. I have the same question. That's what came up for me.
Bhaktadevan's and Anandini's question.
Help, someone help. But we could be with that question and do some research.
Well, I think this relates to the current link principle. Like we practice archanam according to the principles and instructions we get from our current link to the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada established an altar with himself as our current link, and then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta like that. And that altar, and generally speaking, like this, so the acharyas are on a level of the altar, and then then you have like the Vishnu Tattva and Radha Krishna and Lord Nrsingadev, like that. And so so in this in literatures like Hari Bhakti Vilas and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are so many details given about deity worship, and so and the altar, and so how to integrate and balance them all. And that's why we have our current and direct link to the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. So we follow what Prabhupada established and taught practically. And that's we offer obeisances to Prabhupada's picture and his presence in his murti there, and with the altar open. So this example of Lord Chaitanya, so he was giving a particular lesson, so that a particular lesson of the humility of a genuine acharya, and for our advancement, we follow our current link. That's what we do. So actually, Prabhupada made these things very clear. So we offer obeisances, Prabhupada's two pranam mantras, and there you go.
Yeah, it's like very simple, clear, and it's like the Acharya principle, or current link principle, what Srila Prabhupada gave us. It's like maybe. So here is like here Lord Chaitanya, there's a particular example here of of the Lord setting an example. It's like a teaching point, it's a teaching lesson. And then I guess I have a related question, and I'll just put it out there, and then maybe there's something on Nandini or someone else wants to relate or share. But I wanted to ask this because I've kind of been wondering this for a while, is like, I'll go into a temple and then maybe I know the name of the deities or not. Okay. Maybe I don't know the particular intimate personal name of the deity. I know it's Radha and Krishna in some mood or like that. And then, so I'm paying obeisances, and then maybe I'm paying obeisances and I'm chanting Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantras. But then whether I know or don't know the name of the particular deities, I may be like chanting Hare Krishna, or like while I'm paying obeisances, it's like I don't know proper etiquette or form to offer to the deities themselves. Like, Prabhupada's either on that altar, as you mentioned, dear Govinda, at like a certain level, or maybe he's on the other side of the room, like in a Murti form or larger or something like that. So then if I'm paying obeisances, maybe just to the deities in this example, it's like what actually obeisances or mantras am I offering with my obeisances? Is that clear? That's
Yes,
my question. Yes.
I think you are like nailing the root principle, that we are not like offering obeisances directly to the deities.
Mhm.
Maybe even ever, like we always go through Srila Prabhupada with everything. So even let's say I go to a temple, not that I ever went, at least not that I remember, and there is no Srila Prabhupada's picture or murti or anything. So I will still offer pranams to Srila Prabhupada when I offer obeisances.
Can I share something?
Yes, Rukmini.
I can say what I do.
Deities,
What's that? Rukmini, yes.
Okay, so I say what I do when I come to the temple. I offer my obeisances to Srila Prabhupada's Murti with the pranam mantra. When I go to Shishigornitai, I bow down and I say Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Godadaya Pushpavanto Chitra Sandutamonudo. When I go to Shri Shri Radhesham, I say Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yamshama Sundara Machintya Gunasvarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. When I go to Shri Krishna Balaram, I say Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amena Tishtan Nanavatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishnas Vayam Vishnu Ramadi Murti Shukalani Amena Tishtan Nanavatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu. I forget right now.
Krishna Swayam Samabhavat
Krishna, yeah,
Manyo.
exactly. Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So this covers for me, and the Brahma Samhita, and I feel happy.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Rukmini.
So is it something that Srila Prabhupada is giving to us, like to do it like this, like personally to each set of the deities?
Well, my understanding is Rukmini is sharing what she does. That's her inspiration. It's a practice she developed. Basically, to keep it simple, whatever the deities are, as you indicated, Hladini, we say Prabhupada's two pranams. Whatever the deities are, we say Prabhupada's two pranams. And in that way, through Srila Prabhupada, we're offering obeisances to all the deities. Now, if we want to add like the Brahma Samhita verses and that second verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita for Sri Sri Gauranitai, I mean, that's beautiful. That's wonderful to learn those verses and say them. That's beautiful. At the same time, we are complete, safe, secure, that whatever the deities, we say Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Desha Tarine. And that's it. Then Sri Sri Gauranitai accepts the obeisances of the servant of Srila Prabhupada through those pranam mantras, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna and Sri Sri Krishna Balaram, Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra. So that is just a very complete way to do it. If we want to add to that with other mantras, that's wonderful.
Like what came up to me during the purport, this last purport, was how like Lord Chaitanya, like Krishna wants to be his own devotee, but there is so many people recognizing him as Krishna, and it's so disturbing for him. Imagine how frustrating it must be to like wanting to like pretend to be like an ordinary devotee, and then everyone like, you know, washing his lotus feet at the temple, or like. Yeah, and it's also interesting because like in the Krishna pastime, so many people were not recognizing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then here he comes as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu want to hide, but no hiding for him. Anyway, Anandini.
Yeah, for me, the contradiction of how a temple room is arranged and what's written here is still not solved. Like, so I want to understand, and maybe it just remains a contradiction, that's okay too, but so is it like this, that Srila Prabhupada arranged the temple room, that there's the altar, and then often there's the murti, Srila Prabhupada murti, or that there's a murti of the Acharya opposite, so like looking at the deities. And did he instruct us to bow down before the murti first and then the altar? Is that his Srila Prabhupada's instruction?
My very limited understanding about it is that the like there is a little murti on the altar usually, but then the big murti is like representing the Srila Prabhupada like pre-77. Like Srila Prabhupada would travel around the temples, and the temple would have, I actually don't know what they would have at that time, but I imagine they had a little Srila Prabhupada and then the deities, and then maybe big Srila Prabhupada, and then next to him Srila Prabhupada in the pre-77 form. Something, but like my understanding is that the big murti that's not on the altar is representing Srila Prabhupada at the pre-77 form.
And Srila Prabhupada did establish his murti in the temples before November 1977. So he did establish his Bapu murti presence before November 1977. That's before his disappearance pastime. So and so my understanding, I like that, you know, like when I would come into a temple, just offer obeisances, and I'm offering obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and all of the Goswamis and all the transcendental personalities on the altar, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, through Srila Prabhupada. My understanding is it's sufficient to offer obeisances one time, and whether it's to Prabhupada's murti or whatever, but one time. And at the same time, it's also, I know it's also nice, like in front of each set of deities to offer obeisances. Again, when if I'm in a temple, like, okay, like in the recent year, I've been to ISKCON Denver many times. So like when there's Govindam prayers, okay, so first we'll offer obeisances in front of Sri Sri Gauranitai. And my obeisances is Prabhupada's 2 pranam mantras. Then we offer obeisances in front of Sri Sri Radha Govinda. And my obeisances is Prabhupada's 2 pranams. Then we offer obeisances in front of Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadra, also Lord Nrsingadev. And for me, it's the same obeisances, but we offer obeisances 3 times at the time of the Govindam prayers. When just entering the temple, my sense is it's not necessary to offer obeisances more than once. though it's like the heart of a devotee might naturally offer, specific obeisances to each deity.
Yeah, thank you. And still, like, because most instructions I get from Srila Prabhupada are through the books. And so if I read this, and I take it, okay, so nor is it proper for a devotee to offer obeisances and touch the feet of the spiritual master before the deity. So from that I take, if I go into a temple room, I will not pay obeisances to the Srila Prabhupada Murti. And now, like from you, I get the understanding that, yeah, that this is what we do.
Yeah, I guess my understanding from this pastime is kind of like, and this is stuff we don't learn or practice much in Safatov. For example, like like when seeing devotees, we offer Vanchakalpadubhyas Chakripsindhu Bevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha, especially if it's like a senior devotee, someone who might be in the role of Siksha Guru, like that. Then we offer the Vanchakalpadubhyas Chakripsindhu Bevacha. Okay, so my understanding is like that there might be an application of like this with Lord Chaitanya, this pastime with Lord Chaitanya and the Bengali Vaishnava, that we wouldn't offer those obeisances to when right in front of the altar, when the altar is open, like that, or touch the feet of a Vaishnava. So then we have like what we have, like what Srila Prabhupada established by his, so there's his teachings and his teachings by his practical behavior, what he established hundreds and thousands of times. So yeah, right. So there's that form of teaching also to help us practically integrate principles.
Yeah. I appreciate, Nandini, that you didn't like so easily let go of the apparent contradiction, because I'm appreciating the discussion. And and I'm appreciating what's added to this conversation. What I'm appreciating is like I see so many different things in the temple. Like there's ringing the bell and then knocking the door, and then some devotees paying obeisances right inside the door, immediately stepping in temple, and other devotees go to the altar or go to Prabhupada first, or do all three, or combinations. And I'm wondering, what mantras are they saying, and what mantras am I supposed to say? And so I'm also appreciating the simplification. It's all complete in Srila Prabhupada's 2 pranams, mantras, and then I'm appreciating also like the spaciousness. Like I feel so much spaciousness and choice to follow my own heart, about where and how many times I pay obeisances and what other mantras I want to add there. That it's like that's available and not wrong, and also what came up for me is like there's an effort in the temple, like here in Alachua, New Raman Reti is like with where Prabhupada's situated toward the center back of the room facing the deities, is like not to block Srila Prabhupada's view of the deities. Like there's that effort, right? And like there's like a clear path between Prabhupada and the deities. Like there's this conscious effort. And then I find myself wanting to be like back next to Prabhupada, not even up closer to the altar mostly. In other temples, Prabhupada's in different places, but maybe out of practicality or convenience or something, I don't know. But I imagine like Srila Prabhupada, for me, is like what happens naturally is I imagine Srila Prabhupada's like leading in, he's like leading no matter what's happening in the temple. He's leading, he's offered the items from the altar first, and in Kirtan I imagine he's leading. And so I'm wanting to be kind of behind Prabhupada. That's like where I naturally just want to be, is next to Prabhupada, behind Prabhupada. He's leading all of the happenings in the temple. So I just wanted to share that because I noticed that's just kind of what naturally happens for me in the temple, is that Yeah, that's just like my experience of Prabhupada's Murti in the temple is like he's leading all the activities. So I want to be like next to him, behind him, something like that.
Something else that I find very sweet is that Lord Chaitanya showed everyone how to work. Like he went to everyone and showed them how to clean and what to do, and then, yeah, like praised them and encouraged them. Very sweet.
Yes, he's also good at the psychology. Like if you praise someone and now show others, that like brings the competition spirit. Anyway, I would feel like, oh, I want to get like praise too. And yeah, like I'm thinking, I want to say one more thing about the contradiction. It's more like a question, but like there is something like offering, I mean, not for us, because there's not what Srila Prabhupada gave to us, but in like somewhere else, like maybe other acharyas, or I don't know, it's like offering obeisances directly to the deities, I think, or so in that scenario, it would make sense. Like for example, in the temple, we don't do Tulasi worship in front of the deities. Like Tulasi is a pure devotee, so she's on the same level as Srila Prabhupada, but she doesn't have that like, let's say, exception of those pure spiritual masters that we are going through. So then the Tulasi plant, I don't know if I can say plant, that's probably offensive. Tulasi is like what we are reading now. Like don't offer obeisances to the spiritual master in front of the deities. And then I think other acharyas, I'm not sure, are giving like offer obeisances to the deities, but Srila Prabhupada is giving, we are not qualified to do that, but you can offer obeisances to me and I will give it to the deities. So I feel like when we are reading this, it might be also related to this distinction, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems that we reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada in different forms. So like in let's call it the big Murti form, yeah, so for certain functions, the deity curtains are closed. At the same time, right from 2nd Avenue, from his first center, Prabhupada established the pictures of the Parampara on the altar. And he established saying the pranam mantras to the current link to the Parampara. So it's clear that the pictures are on the altar. So it's one and it's different. Like there's the Vani form, there's the Vapu forms, and even with Vapu forms, like this, there's the pre-November 14th, 1977 Vapu form. It's non-different from Prabhupada's Murti, non-different from Prabhupada's picture on the altar. At the same time, there is a difference. We reciprocate with them differently, and with different reciprocations, some principles are active, and with reciprocation with other forms of the spiritual masters Vapu, there's other principles that are more prominent.
Okay, I will put this question. Maybe it's completely off, but I still will do that. Like, are we like offering, like when I am bowing down in front of the altar and there is deities, and I'm saying Srila Prabhupada's pranams, I'm like offering obeisances to the deities through Srila Prabhupada. So maybe that's also different than offering obeisances to the spiritual master, because
yeah, I think that's an important distinction. Yeah, we're offering obeisances to the deities through Srila Prabhupada, just like when Prabhupada taught when we offer arti, we go through the spiritual master, through the current link, and then kind of he sends the offering up the Parampara to the 6 Goswamis, to Lord Chaitanya, to Radha Krishna, like that. So it's the same with obeisances, same with archanam, same with arti. Yeah.
So
And
it's not that. So it's not that offense because.
Yeah. Right. I appreciate that distinction.
I think my contradiction is becoming, it's getting dissolved. Like because what comes to my mind is that, so what Prabhupada is saying here is what's like rules and regulations given and, like etiquette and that are given for like approaching God, Krishna, or the spiritual master, and like I don't know how to say that and if it's true, but like that actually we are not at all qualified to approach God or to be as close to God as we get to be, thanks to Srila Prabhupada. And that like this is like the etiquette that's given by scripture, and that would be like the natural, I don't know, like the natural path and what would bring people to the level of purity that they can approach God. And for us, we're just like out of any category. And so Srila Prabhupada, like what he gives is like a shortcut or a special favor for, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's going through my mind and what would dissolve the contradiction.
Yes, like these rules and regulations are those who can approach Krishna, but we are not on that level. So we can. That's my understanding what we are saying. We are not on that level, so we only can approach Krishna through Srila Prabhupada. So it's not possible to like go through that rule and regulation. Srila Prabhupada is giving us the rule and regulation for our time.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, dear Govinda? You're nodding.
Yes, I appreciate that. The time, circumstance, place, person, principle. That the Acharya, the current link, is adjusting the essential principles and adjusting the details in order for us to get the essential principles of bhakti, and adjusting the details according to time, place, circumstance.
Okay, shall we continue reading? Hladini, I know that your voice is not strong today, so shall I skip you or do you want to read?
I will read a little bit and see how it goes. So which text? 128. Tabe svarupa gozanita taragate hattadiya dekamari purira bahira rakilena lana. At this point, Swarup Damodar Goswami caught the Gaudiya Vaishnav by the neck and giving him a little push, ejected him from the Gundicha Puri temple and made him stay outside. Punasi Prabhupaya Karila Vinaya Agya Paradakshama Karite Yuyaya. After Swarup Damodar Goswami returned within the temple, he requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to excuse that innocent person. Tabe Mahaprabhu Ramane Santosha Haila Sari Karidui Pashe Sabare Vasaila. After this incident, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied. He then asked all of the devotees to sit down in 2 lines on both sides. Apane Vashiya Maje Apanarahate Trina Kankara Kuta Lagila Kudaite. The Lord then personally sat down in the middle and picked up all kinds of straw, grains of sand, and dirty things. Kekata Kodaya Saba Ekatra Kariba Yara Alpata Retani Pitapana Laiba. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was picking up the straws and grains of sand, he said, I shall gather everyone's collections, and I shall ask whoever has collected less than all the others to pay a fine of sweet cakes and sweet rice. Ematasa papuri karila shodana, shitala nirmala kaila yena nijamana. In this way, all the quarters of the Gundicha temple were completely cleansed and cleared. All quarters were cool and spotless, like one's cleansed and pacified mind. Prananika chariyadi pani vahaila, nutanana diyena samudre milila. Then the water from the different rooms was finally let out through the halls. When the water from the different rooms was finally let out through the halls, it appeared as if new rivers were rushing out to meet the waters of the ocean. I'll stop here.
Hare Krishna. Fun. So, okay. So, Mother Rukmini, would you like to read?
Yes. Is it text 135?
Yes.
Okay. I have to, yeah. Ei mata purvadvara age patayata sakala sodila taha ke varni bekata. Outside the gateway of the temple, all the roads were also cleansed, and no one could tell exactly how this was done. Purport. In commenting on the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the world leader, was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within one's cleansed and pacified heart. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart, as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshastika, Chetodarpana Marjanam. In this age, everyone's heart is especially unclean, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Ridyanta Stoya Bhadrani. To wash away all dirty things accumulated within the heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed. Chetodarpana Marjanam. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 1-17 confirms this statement. Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shavana kirtanaha vidyantastoya bhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord, Shri Krishna, Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna. This is a simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart, and the Lord wants to give direction. But he has, to keep his heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Gundicha temple. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds, or dust, in other words, Anya Bilashita Purna, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead I'm on my phone, so I'm trying to enlarge it. So hold on, where am I now?
It should be at the top if you are reading from the shared screen.
Excuse me?
If you are reading from the screen, then
yeah, I am.
it should be at the top now.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
The hearts must be cleansed.
Oh, yes, sure. One cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, understanding the Supreme by speculative knowledge, fruitive activity, severe austerity and penance, and so on. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our hearts unless our hearts are cleansed. A material desire is explained as a desire to enjoy the material world to its fullest extent. In modern language, this is called economic development. An inordinate desire for economic development is considered to be like straws and grains of sand within the heart. If one is overly engaged in material activity, the heart will always remain disturbed, as stated by Narottam Das Thakur. Can you lift the page? Thank you. Wait a second. Samsara Vishanale Diva Nishi Hiya Jvale Judaite na kainu pai. Judaite na kainu pai. In other words, endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of devotional service. Material enjoyment includes activities such as great sacrifices for auspicious activity, charity, austerity, elevation to the higher planetary system, and even living happily within the material world. Modernized material benefits are like the dust of material contamination. When this dust is agitated by the whirlpool of fruitive activity, it overcomes the heart. Thus, the mirror of the heart is covered with dust. There are many desires for performing auspicious and inauspicious activities, but people do not know how life after life they are keeping their hearts unclean. One who cannot give up the desire for fruitive activity is understood to be covered by the dust of material contamination. Karmis generally think that the interaction of fruitive activities can be counteracted by another karma or fruitive activity. This is certainly a mistaken conception. If one is deluded by such a conception, he is cheated by his own activity. Such activities have been compared to an elephant's bathing. An elephant may bathe very thoroughly, but as soon as it comes out of the river, it immediately takes some sand from the land and throws it all over its body. If one suffers due to the past fruitive activities, Are you changing the page?
Yeah, well, I'm still seeing it, but I can.
I mean, it's stuck there, so yeah.
The suffering.
Where are we? It's not exactly in the place where I just read. So
Yes, it's auspicious. The sufferings here.
I can't find it now. Wait a second.
I put it. I made it blue for you.
Yeah, the last word was he. So, oh, okay, wait. He, okay. He cannot. No, I think you jumped a little.
Yeah, you read. He cannot counteract his suffering by performing auspicious activities.
His suffering by performing auspicious activities. The suffering of human society cannot be counteracted by material plans. The only way suffering can be mitigated is by Krishna consciousness. When one takes to Krishna consciousness and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, the cleansing of the heart begins. When the heart is actually cleansed, one can clearly see the Lord sitting there without any disturbance. In Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.68, the Lord confirms that he sits within the heart of the pure devotee. Sadavo hridayam mayam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham. Impersonal speculation, monism, merging into the existence of the Supreme. Speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and meditation are all compared to grains of sand. They simply cause irritation to the heart. No one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such activities, nor do we give the Lord a chance to sit in our hearts peacefully. Rather, the Lord is simply disturbed by them. Sometimes yogis and jnanis in the beginning take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as a way to begin their various practices. But when they falsely think that they have attained release from the bondage of material existence, they give up chanting. They do not consider that the ultimate goal is the form of the Lord or the name of the Lord. Such unfortunate creatures are never favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they do not know what devotional service is. Lord Krishna describes them in the Bhagavad Gita in this way. Tamaham vishata kuran samsareshu naradamam kshipam yajashram ashubam asurisvevayonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence into various demoniac species of life. By his practical example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us that all the grains of sand must be picked up thoroughly and thrown outside. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sand would again come within. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that even though one may become free from the desire for fruitive activity, sometimes a subtle desire for fruitive activity again comes into being within the heart. One often thinks of conducting business to improve devotional activity, but the contamination is so strong that it may later develop into misunderstanding described as kutinati, fault finding, and pratishtasha, the desire for name and fame and for high position. Jiva hingsa, envy of other living entities, actually means actually,
We are at Nishidachara, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra.
sure. Nishidachara, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra. Kama, desire for material gain, and puja, hankering for popularity. The word kutinati means duplicity. As an example of pratishtasa, one may attempt to imitate Srila Haridas Thakur by living in a solitary place. One's real desire may be for name and fame. In other words, one thinks that fools will accept one to be as good as Haridas Thakur just because one lives in a solitary place. These are all material desires. A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desire for women and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of a materialist. Gradually, one desires to become a reputed devotee or an avatar incarnation. The word jiva hingsa, envy of other living entities, actually means stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. Preaching work is described as paropavakara, welfare activity for others. Those who are ignorant of the benefits of devotional service must be educated by preaching. If one stops preaching and simply sits down in a solitary place, he is engaged in material activity. If one desires to make a compromise with the Mayavadis, he is also engaged in material activity. A devotee should never make compromises with non-devotees. By acting as a professional guru, mystic yogi, or miracle man, one may cheat and bluff the general public and gain
Fame as a wonderful mystic.
Fame as a wonderful mystic. But all this is considered to be dust, straw, and grains of sand within the heart. In addition, one should follow the regulative principles and not desire illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, or meat. To give up practical instructions, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple twice. His second cleansing was more thorough. The idea was to throw away all the stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. He cleansed the temple with firm conviction, as is evident from his using his own personal garments for cleaning. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see personally that the temple was thoroughly cleansed to the standard of clean marble. Clean marble gives a cooling effect. Devotional service means attaining peace from all disturbances caused by material contamination. In other words, it is the process by which the mind is cooled. The mind can be peaceful and thoroughly cleansed when one no longer desires anything but devotional service. Even though all dirty things may be cleansed away, sometimes subtle desires remain in the heart for impersonalism, monism, success, and the four principles of religious activity, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. All these are like spots on clean cloth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to cleanse all these away. By his practical activity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed us how to cleanse our hearts. Once the heart is cleansed, we should invite just jumping. Invite. Wait a second.
Lord Shri Krishna.
Yeah, you're just moving up and down. Lord Shri Krishna, to sit down, and we should observe the festival by distributing prasad and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to teach every devotee by his personal endeavor. Everyone who spreads the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts a similar responsibility. The Lord was personally chastising and praising individuals in the course of the cleaning, and those who are engaged in as acharyas must learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how to train devotees by personal example. The Lord was very much pleased with those who could cleanse the temple by taking out undesirable things accumulated within. This is called anartha nivritti, cleansing the heart of all unwanted things. Thus, the cleansing of the Gundicha Mandir was concluded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let us know how the heart should be cleansed and soothed to receive Lord Shri Krishna and enable him to sit within the heart without disturbance. This was my talking for the day. Okay.
Yeah, you will have no urge to speak for today.
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely use my voice quite a bit today. So thank you.
It was austerity to read the whole purport.
Yeah, it's a huge one. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you for reading, Mother Rukmini.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we have like 3 more minutes. So if anyone wants to share a comment or quick question or inspiration or whatever.
Hare Krishna. Well, it's quite a anartha nivritti, pulling the weeds verse. This purport. It's it's quite a quintessential purport about the internal life and looking at the weeds in our heart, whatever analogy you want to use. And I just noticed this sentence towards the end about responsibility. Basically, Prabhupada makes it very clear, like if we're endeavoring to represent Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have a responsibility. We have responsibility to teach by our example, to spread the Sankirtan movement through our teachings and by our example to be an acharya, to be an acharya like that. And just that with the blessing and the great gifts we get, we have a responsibility.
Otherwise we are envious. That was there. And if one is envious, he's not going to share this teaching. So you can choose.
Yeah, the jiva himsa, weed in the heart. To actually be envious means we give up sharing Krishna consciousness. Yep, it's very, very powerful definition, practical.
Hladini, I see you unmuted yourself for the second time now. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just feel so personally like instructed today by this reading. Like this morning I went to an interview at a local school with the possibility of doing some teaching there. And the headmaster, it was a very personal conversation, and he shared like he studied Buddhist psychology in Boulder, Colorado. And now he's here in Switzerland, and so I was, this question of, to say yes to this job or no. and really like looking at what are my motivations. And here I get so many, like Prabhupada is giving so many, he's even mentioning the Mayavadi philosophy, like what, like material, I don't know if we desiring fruitive activities and opulence in order to improve devotional service. And so I feel like I'm getting a layout of different things to check what are my motivations. And I'm thinking, like I still feel free to say yes or no. Actually, I feel encouraged, like if I say yes to this job, then it's very important that I am aware, okay, it could, if I give too much energy there, too much time, too much focus there, it could lead me to move away, to become a fault finder in Krishna consciousness. And to, like, if I do that, it will be very important for me to be very focused in chanting and hearing and finding opportunities to preach. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it seems that it wasn't an accident that you got the inspiration a few weeks ago to read this verse and purport today.
Yeah.
Yes, so I look forward to see the pictures of the cleansed temples later today or tomorrow, and wish you a nice day full of service, cleaning inside, outside, everything, washing the ceiling, whatever your inspiration.
Thank you, Hladini and Anandini, for inspiring and hosting this Gundicha Marjanam program.
Jai, thank you. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Cleansing the Gundicha Marjanam temple ki jai. Hare Krishna.